Welcome to our March 25th, 2025 Board of Education meeting. May I ask you to please rise for our Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First up will be our approval of our agenda. May I get a motion, please? Henry, second Jim S. Any discussion or questions? All in favor? 7-0. Next up is our superintendent's report. Mr. Poole.
Good evening, Mr. President, and welcome everybody. The first part of my report, I'm going to turn it over to our ex officio student trustee, Ms. Roberts. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. To start off the student report, I would like to give congratulations to seniors Karen McGuire and Patrick Shea for being honored by the Suffolk Zone chapter of the New York State Association for Health, Physical Education, Recreation, and Dance for their contribution to the overall positive influence on their peers and being outstanding physical education students. Additionally, big congratulations to junior Ray Tang, who has been accepted into the prestigious Simon Summer Research Program at Stony Brook University. He will work in the Department of Mechanical Engineering in the highly competitive program that has an acceptance rate of about 2%. Wow. Senior Yi Hu recently performed a solo with the High School Symphony Orchestra at the winter concert. The performance was soon after Yi was accepted to the All-State String Orchestra on violin. And a big thank you to all who participated in the first annual student staff doubles badminton tournament that took place earlier this month. 21 teams participated in this inaugural event. And on another note, the high school's AP Human Geography class visited the Tenement Museum on Orchard Street in New York City last week, where they learned about the struggles of two immigrant families who came to the city 100 years apart. Tri-M Music Honor Society also hosted its 8th annual Sweets and Treats recital this past Friday. It was full of awesome performances by our high school Tri-M members, while onlookers enjoyed eating delicious desserts. The high school play, The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, will be on April 3rd, 4th, and 5th at 7 p.m. The story follows 15-year-old Christopher Boone as he investigates the murder of his neighbor's dog. Tickets are $10 for students and $12 for adults. Come support our theater program and see this amazing show. And next Friday, April 4th, marks the end of third quarter for the high school. The winter sports season is now complete, highlighted by every varsity team being named a scholar athlete team for the winter. Wow. We are looking forward to recognizing our student athletes at the Board of Education meeting on April 8th. And the high school spring sports season began last Monday, with games starting this week. Come on out and support our amazing student athletes. We have a lot of athletic achievements to look forward to. Go Wildcats.
Yeah, thank you. Great.
What an impressive report.
Boy.
Yeah, hard act to follow, Jerry.
Yes, I agree. So over at the middle school, thank you to our PTO, who hosted a St. Patrick's Day dance on March 14th. There was a good crowd there, a good time held by all. Tomorrow, students from Mr. Driscoll's technology class will be competing in the Maglev competition at Brookhaven National Lab tomorrow. Looking forward to a strong showing. Last year we took first place, one of our middle school students, so we'll see how we do this year. And middle school sports season is off to a great start with many students participating in all of the athletic teams over at the middle school. At Wading River, the classes successfully had their field trip at the ice skating rink. Got a chance to visit them on one morning. What a great time, great experience. It's a culminating unit for the rollerblading. I thank Mr. Paranello and his staff and the Peconic Hockey Foundation for making that happen for our students. Tomorrow night at Wading River, I think at 6 p.m., is the Wading River Science Fair. You don't want to miss that. They are hosting a portable planetarium all day and into the evenings for families and students to enjoy. And in keeping with the science and discovery theme for the week, there will be a brain show assembly for all grades on Friday, March 28th, and special evening performance where families will have an opportunity to highlight their trivia talents. So anybody who's good at Jeopardy.
Oh boy.
Welcome.
Who's going?
Who's going? To attend over at Miller Avenue.
I don't want to embarrass myself.
The PTO recently hosted the first second grade book club meeting where students and parents played an exciting game of Charlotte's Web, Jeopardy, hosted by Mrs. Smith. The evening also included cupcake decorating and crafts, with all of the second grade earning extra recess as an additional prize. And beginning next week, our second grade classes will be visiting the Suffolk County Museum and the one-room schoolhouse. Students will have the opportunity to dress as children did in the 19th century and experienced what it was like to be a student during that time. So some great happenings across the school district. Tonight is our third in a series of budget presentations. I will be giving the budget presentation this evening in Mr. Arcuri's stead, and we will complete the review of the expenditures, proposed expenditures for the budget. Just wanted to make a note as well, in the budget, we are getting to that part of the school year where we start awarding contracts for the following year.
Yes.
So all of those RFP awards and contracts for next year are for services that we may or may not use, and the redundancy is important. If I can't get vendor one for a student, we go to vendor two. So those values that are in there are just, you're approving the value of the fees. We may or may not use all the vendors or all of those services, but it gives us the flexibility to meet the needs of our special education students next year. And then finally, I want to give a big congratulations to 4 of our shining stars in the school district. We do have amazing staff that work here every day in all levels of the organization. But last night at the Scope Educational Service Awards, where they recognize excellence in education and service to the children on Long Island, Mr. Tom Ward was recognized for exceptional service. One of our lead maintenance workers, Mr. Van, the principal at the middle school, 20-year administrator in the school district, and 2 fantastic teachers over at Wading River, Ms. Tanya Amirati and Meredith Trani, both exceptional teachers. They were recognized as well, so it's a nice night. Some trustees came and administrators, but it was a great night to recognize their excellence. So congratulations to the 4 of them, and a thank you to them for their service to the children here. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Poole. Ms. Roberts, thanks for that update, and Mr. Poole, very good. Next, I did want to say is, again, as part of our ongoing commitment to our inclusive community engagement, for those that are joining us virtually tonight, you always can ask a question to SWR BOE meeting at swr.k12.ny.us for any inclusion in our second comment period. Statements and comments may or may not be read, so thank you for that. Next up, opportunity for board members. Anyone have anything they want to share?
So quick.
Yeah, sure.
Just with regards to some of the feedback I've heard around the cell phone policy, especially at the high school, some teachers have said that it's been phenomenal. The kids have been very responsive, been more engaged that they found. So more curious was a word that I heard, because they're not, inundated with constantly looking at their phones. And there hasn't been, from my experience and based on what's been shared, any significant pushback from the students around, not having their phone. And I think it's been made a huge impact for high school students, and just obviously the level of education they're receiving from the teachers and the level of engagement that they're showing. So I just want to say I appreciate the district for everything they did, and policy's working. So
yes, I would agree, and I think when we update the strategic plan in the fall, we have some survey data that we've taken to get baseline to share. But I will share that surveying staff in general on the cell phone policy, in general, over 70% of all staff have said it's been a great success for student engagement, and that includes elementary and middle school, who sort of already had restricted use anyway. But at the high school, over 90% of teachers have said it's been a great success, has increased student engagement, student dialogue, and student activity and energy in the classroom. So, and I'm going to give the students a lot of credit. I think it was an adjustment for our students, but I think the approach was respectful. So they do have access, when they have a little bit of free time in their day, but they don't have the access when they really have to be thinking and engaging in the, in the lesson. So
Absolutely. That's great. What's that?
Well, I am a high school student
Yes.
who has been affected by the cell phone
Good call.
policy. And I can attest to the fact that I think it has been effective. There's been a lot less phone usage in all of my classes. And I think I do see a difference in myself and in students. So I do think it has been very effective. So commend the
thank you for
district for
sharing that.
doing that.
Appreciate that.
It was a good decision.
And you were part of the planning committee for what that
I
policy
was,
looked like.
yes.
Where she came in over the summer and sat with administrators and parents to work on what that could be for this year. So great.
Thank you for that. Thanks for sharing
Mr.
that.
Poole, I know you said something about getting a baseline for teachers and also post-survey data. Did you get post-survey data from students, or do you plan to? I'm just curious.
I do have survey data from students. I'm not sure if I asked students on the cell phone survey question. I think I asked staff that question. My survey to students was aligned to the strategic plan and the cell phone wasn't really part of that. I could have asked them, well, we can come
Yeah,
back
I don't- yeah, I'm just
and
curious.
ask them. So we'll have to see. I know the governor is thinking about, a cell phone policy. I think local planning and decisions often work best rather than state level,
Yeah, mandates.
mandates for that. So we'll see, but might be something to come back to.
Yeah, very good. Anyone else have anything they want to share? Opportunity for board members? All good? Okay. Move right along. No old business. Statements from residents. Any statements from residents? Thank you, Ms. Kirchis. Okay. Gonna move right down, Jerry. I'll put you up. Reports
Reports
and reviews.
and reviews.
It's Mr. Poole's turn again.
Speed round, Jerry.
Mr. Poole will be delivering, does someone have something? Oh, we'll be reviewing, reports and reviews tonight, our 2025-2026 budget presentation with Mr. Poole, our superintendent of schools. So it's the expenses tonight, huh, Mr. Poole? Glenn gave you the expense side of it?
Yes, I want to thank Mr. Arcuri for his leadership and his work. Mr. Arcuri actually developed the presentation, and as always, is a leader in the development of the budget. Mr. Arcuri, if you're listening, I just want you to take note that there are at least 5 people here for the budget for the budget presentation. I hope you're listening from home. All right, so I believe this is our 3rd budget workshop.
It is.
It's the last one on the expenditure end.
Yep.
And of course, a picture tells a 1,000 words. Those are just some highlights of activities across the school district. I know we've gone through these slides a couple of times, but I think it's important to share some things that are included in the budget and things that have grown over time in response to student need. Mental health services, increases in nurse services, and our expansion of North Shore Youth Council partnerships. And those are to keep students healthy and safe, both physically and mentally. If you want to see a great presentation on great student outcomes, Mr. Meister's presentation in the fall goes really in depth into AP scores, region scores, other assessment data. This slide is just to highlight that the great success of the school district in getting graduation outcomes for our students, which is our ultimate goal. Additional background historical information. This is a great slide, gives an historical perspective on budget increases and tax levy increases over the last 6 years. The 6-year average, if we discount or remove that transfer to capital, that was a revenue match to a project, 2.47%. I think we all know clearly that inflation is a minimum of 4% a year, so those expenditure budget increases are a result of economies and efficiencies. And the tax levy increase of 1.75% over the same 6 years. Just a slide on federal grants. I know federal grants have been in the news, the U.S. Department of Education. This is just good to keep coming back to that. Our exposure to federal grants is $614,000. It does seem as if Title I and the special education grants, from kind of what I'm hearing in the news, are okay. I haven't heard on Title II or Title IV, and those are lower amounts. But should the funding go away, that is our exposure, is $614,000. The tax levy limit calculation, I won't go too in-depth, but we're not looking to pierce this year. The tax levy limit with exclusions is 1.9571%, and that's an increase of $1,153,302. So that is levying to the limit. We do have the anticipated pilot payments built in. They're listed there. We are expecting another pilot payment from the battery storage system, but not for this upcoming school year, probably for the following school year for that. And I'm hoping that we have an on-time budget on April 1st. It seems that all signs are pointing this way, that there isn't a lot of contention in Albany with the budget, that we should have an on-time budget. But if in that budget there are any changes in aid that that could impact the budget, but specifically if building aid goes up and down, that is a reciprocal to the tax levy. So if we get more building aid, the formula would push the levy down, because building aid offsets the revenue that the levy would collect. So I don't expect that to happen, but if that does happen, that wouldn't change the expenditure budget. It would change where the revenue is coming from. All right, so on to Proposition 1, which is the 2025-26 budget. Just briefly, the budget does align to all the pillars of the strategic plan. So when we're sitting going through line by line, we are thinking about communication with stakeholders, what's in the budget to support that. We are thinking about healthy, safe, and engaging learning spaces. What is in the budget to support that? What do we need? What's the next steps for us? High-quality programs, enhanced student graduation outcomes, many of which of these are above and beyond a required core program in the school district, and maintaining whole child programming. Are we meeting the overarching all needs of students that they are successful in the school district? The 2025-26 draft budget maintains all of our current programs that are aligned to the strategic plan, and I'm really happy to share that. We have great programs, and the ability to keep all those in next year's budget and move forward and continue those opportunities for students is great. It maintains current class sizes, has some nominal funding for additional field trips and co-curricular opportunities, technology conferences, software subscriptions. It does include funding to replace 12 interactive smart boards. I will say maybe a year and a half ago, we came with a large interactive smart board replacement project in the school district. I thank Mr. Esposito and Ms. Nitty. They did a great job getting a great product at a great price, and we are in great shape. With another 12 boards, we will complete all of the large group instructional spaces. And by all accounts, this has been a great asset to our teachers in the school district, and I'm hoping it's made things a little clearer for students in the instructional spaces as well. And beyond that, the consistent repair for 10, 15, 20-year-old boards, whether it's adjusting the projector, changing the projector bowl, the maintenance efforts were beyond. These boards are really easy, need very little repair or touches, so they've been a great asset for instruction. It does reflect reductions of contingent funds and, where prudent, reduced budget codes. And when I get to the slide, you'll see them in red where those reductions were. I took a moment to look back at last year. So between last year and this year, those reductions are probably around $700,000. That's economies and efficiencies, lowering some margins, looking for expenses that we haven't incurred over an average number of years, and removing some of that cushion out of the budget to make the budget work. It does increase the use of appropriated fund balance, and we'll see that a little bit later, and increases the amount of debt service funds. And as in years past, not this year's budget, but the prior years, we have used the teachers' retirement reserve applied to the budget as a revenue source for those specific costs related to teachers' retirement. So there is the proposed budget of $89,324,075. And again, that is a 1.29% increase year to year. And at our first meeting on February 25th, Mr. Arcuri covered about 80% of the budget with employee salaries, benefits, and transportation. You may recall, if somebody's tuning in for the first time, that Mr. Arcuri went over in great detail the huge increase in transportation costs that evening of over $1 million, $1.2 million or so. And if somebody's interested, going back to that meeting, watching the video, a lot of great information from Mr. Arcuri about what that rate increase was and what it entails. At the March 11th meeting, Mr. Arcuri, we went over together district-wide expenses, debt and transfers, and facilities. I'll just highlight again, debt and transfers. You see the reduction there of $1.7 million. You may recall in this year's budget, $1.6 million, $1.7 million was put into the budget to specifically cover the cost of electrical infrastructure, maintenance, repairs, and renovations, the Miller Avenue faculty bathrooms. So there was specific projects that went along with that revenue. That revenue was prior year state aid. The revenue's coming out, the expenditure's coming out. That sort of matched it. And that does result in a 1.29% budget to budget increase in the school district. Went over the facilities budget. And today, thank you, Glenn. You left me a very long list. We'll we'll be going over special education, technology, athletics, curriculum, community programs, health services, and personnel. I do want to briefly bring up the note on the bottom. You residents will see in the budget newsletter and in the 6-day notice reference that in this budget, when we sign off on approving this budget, the community is also approving the 5-year contract with the bus vendor. And we don't typically have 5-year contracts, so it's required to be put inside of that documentation. Mr. Arcuri went into that in great detail at the last meeting. So on to special education. So for additional information on special education, Ms. Von Esten was here about a month ago, so it's under Board of Education presentations, really a great update on where we are with special education. Funding special education supports student placements to meet individual student needs for out-of-district placements to BOCES, residential placements, related services such as counseling, speech, language, occupational therapy, behavior consultation, educational consultations and coaching days, itinerant services. A lot of those services are in the on the agenda tonight for board approval. Those fees are related to special education programming. Equipment purchases to support all of our programs, including the RISE program, resource rooms, specialized reading, program supports for integrated co-teaching, humanities labs for special education students, and job coaching opportunities for students in the high school RISE program for a successful transition programming, and it also includes tutoring services and home instruction. That is the bulk of what makes up the special education codes. Services from 2024, 25 remain the same. It also includes psychiatric evaluations, other contracted services, nursing services, and funding to address unanticipated student needs and enrollment. A single student could at times, a single student could be 6 figures based on the need of the student. So there's money in there in the event that an unknown services arise during the school year. And as mentioned, the RFPs went out, and we're starting to award those beginning with tonight's meeting. So the special education budget is $3,542,301. That is a slight reduction from last year. That's based on just really a reduction in contingent funding, no change in program services for students. We may have in the past budgeted for 4 students that need highly specialized and costly placement services, but to make the budget work in many, many places, the contingent dollars to meet those needs have been reduced. If something arises that we go past the contingent dollars that are in the budget for students, we would, of course, find the funding in other places, budget transfers. The students would get the services. All right, and now we're up to 96.74% of the budget. So on to technology, and again, Mr. Esposito was here not that long ago, giving the community and the board an update on technology programming. That's on the website as well, under presentations, under Board of Education. And the proposed budget maintains all of our program services from this year. It includes maintenance support and warranties, the contractual increases, everything has gone up. Includes network appliances, firewalls, encryption services, databases, security services, user licenses, GoGuardian, which is the filtering system, including Beacon, lease payments related to replacement Chromebooks, computer supplies and materials. There is a reduction in there related to the one-time replacement of smart boards with interactive panels, so the budget went up a little bit last year. As I mentioned, we just need to get 12 more for the whole class, so it's going down slightly this year. And the proposed budget for technology is $1,897,348. It's a slight drop in the percentage, and it makes up about 2% of the budget. And now we're at 98.86% of the budget. Athletics. So the program does maintain all of our teams from 24-25. High school has 46 teams. Middle school has 24. 23-24 school year, 439 scholar athletes. I think we are 3 years in a row a school of distinction for scholar athletes, and it looks like We're headed there. Go spring athletes. We did it for the fall. We did it for the winter. I have every confidence that our spring athletes are going to be scholar athletes as well, and it'll be our 4th year getting that coveted distinction, and all to the credit of our students and community for supporting the athletics budget. Budgeted amounts for contracted services have been adjusted based on projected rate increases, some slight reductions related to one-time equipment purchases. So that's a little bit of a variable in the athletic budget. If for one particular year there's equipment needs, it'll go up a little bit. If no big equipment needs, it'll go down slightly. The budget for this year is $375,854. If I go back, that's a slight reduction, but if I went back to look at 23-24, and that budget was $343,000, so it's over the 23-24 value, but it is the right amount of funding to support our programs and our athletes' success. And that is a slight reduction, 5%, and it makes up 0.42% of the budget total, and that takes us to 99.28% of the budget. And I'm going to stop here, as Mr. Arcuri usually does, and say, are there any questions? If not, I will move forward, and if there's any questions as I move forward, please feel free to ask. All right, and curriculum and staff development, which makes up 0.36% of the budget. It's ongoing professional development, it's required annual trainings, of which there are quite a few. It's attendance at conferences, it's staff workshops, it's supporting the Superintendent's Conference Day. We just had a fantastic Superintendent's Conference Day with over 60 workshops developed by the Staff Development Council, led by Mr. Arcuri, but really supported by dozens of people, led by teachers, led by administrators. It was a really successful day, and you know, the nice part about the last conference was, so in the fall, we really had to direct teachers to, you have to take this, you have to take that. Really, in the spring, we had a huge array of courses that they could self-select what was most relevant to them. So it was a great success, great day, and thank you, Mr. Meinster, for and everybody else that was involved in putting that all together. But these funds support that day, those days where we have professional development.
Jerry, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I have a question back on athletics. I apologize.
That's okay.
You mentioned the reductions related to one-time equipment purchases and the dollar change reduction of almost $22,000. I know a lot of times with the rotation of coaches, we have a new AD, you know, over the years, many of us have spent time on athletic fields and at games, and sometimes there's whispers of not having the proper equipment. I know there's a delay with that. It has to be on this year's budget to get purchased for next year. Just, I know we've taken steps to mitigate that in the past. With this reduction, are we still good with meeting all the needs of the student athletes?
Yes, there is ongoing dialogue with the coaches. There's a coaching survey. What are the equipment needs? And the budget does include, I'm not recalling exactly what, I think, but there are 2 substantial pieces of equipment that are part of the budget for next year that were identified for that. So the large purchase this year that is probably reflected in the dollar change was the shot clocks for lacrosse. So we have the shot clocks now, so that one-time expense has come out of the budget. But if something emerges that coaches need, I'm happy to go back, double-check the value with the athletic.
Like I said, I think we've done a great job in the past.
Yeah.
And there's always been issues with uniforms. You know, our kids are excelling. They're on, you know, the state competitions or at track meets, and you know, in the past we've had mismatched uniforms. I know we've done a great job getting ahead of that. I just want to make sure that, you know, we're still keeping the standard moving ahead. That's all.
I appreciate that, and it's always a good reminder, and something that we do discuss, the quality of the uniform. So should something outside of equipment, should there be something, we will always, like with special ed, we will find the dollars for the uniform. Sometimes at this point in the school year, we do a second uniform review. If there's any monies left in supplies for the athletic codes, can you get ahead of the uniforms a little bit right now to make sure that we are ready? So, but thank you for that. All right, curriculum and staff development, 99.64% of the budget. And on to community programs. So community programs is one of those unique programs where we budget for it and lay it out, but the idea of community programs is that there are fees that come in that offset offset the cost, but we have to budget for I'd say through grade 12 in our school district, there are 29 programs offered. This is some data from last year, or for this year, we had 860 registrants to date. Secondary students, 290 registrants to date for community programs. Adult education, 10 programs are offered. 330 registrants to date. That number surprised me a little bit. It's kind of higher than I thought it would be for adults participating in the program. Summer programs round out 105. That number has come down. I know when I began 8 years ago, that number was more like 275 students in the round out program. I know that number is down, but still high enough that we want to keep that going. The Music Institute, 73 registrants last year, and there is a slight reduction in the supplies and materials budget to align it closer to the actual cost. And the community programs also runs the driver's ed program for the school district, and that is highly popular with lots of enrollment in all of the seasons that we host driver's education. And I thank the community program staff. That is having managed that in the past, that is a complex and you have to legal, important thing to manage the right way. So I'm happy that we can offer that and continue to provide that for our students and families. And we are now at 99.81% of the draft expenditure budget.
Nice.
All right. On to health services. So the services from 2024-25 remain the same. We do have to this year go out to RFP for medical services, so we will go out for that. But we've accounted for any increases that might occur in the contracted costs. At school physician and nurse services.
Excuse me, Jerry, what is medical services? What is that? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. What does that mean when you have to go out to RFP for medical?
So we have a district has a medical director, which is really physician services. So we go out, right now it's Dr. Donatelli.
Yeah.
So it was a
When you said that,
2-year,
I
or
just
yeah.
didn't-
Oh, you
Yeah, I
remember.
didn't catch on what you were saying.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Thank you.
And it's for athletic and annual physicals, health services for parentally placed students. So if a student is placed out of district that requires health services, there may be one on the agenda tonight. We have to cover those expenditures.
Yes.
And it's AED inspections and pad replacements. We have over 40 AED devices in the school district. And it's audiometer and vision machine inspections for the nurse's office and some supplies and materials. And that budget is $106,886. Makes up just a fraction of the budget and gets us to 99.93% of the proposed draft budget.
Mr. Paul, in health services, if the health classes did CPR training, that wouldn't come under here, right? That would go to curriculum?
That would be a
That'd be
yes.
Curriculum, just curious, okay. So this is primarily services related to some athletics and other?
Yeah, the nurses, the 4 nurses' offices, what are the needs that they have to keep those offices functioning? Typically, our contracted medical director, physician services are in the range of $30,000 to $40,000. So it's that big number.
That is, okay.
That's in there as
So
well.
it's a big portion of it.
Yeah, and then annually, it is off. The pads are replaced. Sometimes the batteries are replaced in the AED devices. We did take a deep dive into our AED devices last year to see. We've had them for a while. Are they still relevant? Are they still at the high end? And we had them assessed. They're still great AED devices, still highly functional, operational. So it's just keeping them going.
Thank you.
All right, and on to the personnel budget. That is a budget of $62,025, and that includes the online application system, better known as OLAS, where we post the majority of our positions, any advertising that we might need, substitute teacher services that manages and supports that, the Affordable Care Act, a consultant for health insurance programming, some slight reductions to better align to actuals, which just meaning that looking at the 3-year average, what did we spend, and is there some room to take some contingency out because we haven't spent up to that value over the last several years. So some alignment to contracted services, advertising, and personnel investigations, and that makes up 0.07% of our budget and takes us to 100% of the proposed expenditures for the 25-26 the school year. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, all right, well, all right, so I'm going to move on to the, briefly to the year-to-year support budget for that. And I know Mr. Arcuri will do a deeper look into revenues and the support budget. But if you take a look at the proposed budget for 2025-26, you see the levy is approximately 60 million, expecting about 16 million in state aid, other revenue about 4 million. I know Mr. Arcuri has mentioned this, the appropriated fund balance is increased by $1 million, and we really needed to do that. That is covering the increase in transportation costs in the proposed budget. We have an increase in the teacher retirement system reserve that I noted earlier, a slight increase in the use of the debt service fund, and all of those parts working together results in that the 1.957% tax levy with a 1.29% budget-to-budget increase. You know, fiscally prudent, responsible expenditure plan that keeps everything we have going, supports our students, is inside of the tax levy, is reasonable budget, you know, budget to budget, and you know, keeps it all going in a reasonable way. Just some important dates to remember. So at our next meeting, as I mentioned, we'll be doing the revenue budget. So Mr. Arcuri will be going much more deeply into this slide here. At April 23rd, budget adoption. April 16th, we have some dates on the right there for a meeting with the Shoreham Civic, the Wading River Civic. On May 6th is the budget hearing, and on May 12th is the joint PTA-PTO Council SEPTA meeting where we present the budget to them as well. And the budget vote is set for May 20th from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. in the high school main gym. All right. Going to move on to Proposition 2, which is the use of the 2021 capital reserve. The capital reserve proposition was set up with the approval of voters, and now we need to go back out and get the approval of voters and residents to expense the money in the reserve. So it doesn't impact the tax levy. These are funds that have been saved since the creation of the 2021 reserve, and the total cost of the proposition is $6,879,000. Some of the work may or may not be listed, be eligible for building aid. We'll know more once the work is developed, and we work with the architects. And this was developed through a number of meetings, thanks to Space and Facilities, the trustees on the committee, just kind of working together to go through a list of projects to come up with a project list that best use the funds to meet the needs of students in a way that we all thought was the best use today for the use of those funds for classrooms. So project descriptions at Miller Avenue, classroom ceiling and lighting replacement, 14 classrooms. One thing we discussed as well was the casework at Miller Avenue to get done, but ceiling and lighting was the one that rose to the top to get that done first. Wading River, the windows and door replacements. That's a great project. That will be the last piece of window door replacement in the school district, so that'll be set for many, many, many years. So good to get that work done. Middle school science rooms and RISE classrooms, interior renovations, about 7 classrooms. I know we have all walked the middle school, you know, over time and wanted to do something with those spaces to make them bright and vibrant and match the other parts of the building, and this is an opportunity to bring those spaces up for students. The Kootenella Field, putting funding away to replace and renovate Kootenella Field. I'll share a little more information on that on a later slide. And then district-wide technology projects and equipment replacement for the school district. Just a special note on the bottom there, if the prices come in better than expected, we will look to get some more of that casework replacement done, flooring or HVAC modifications with anything that might be left if prices come in favorably.
Mr. Poole, real quick on the opportunity for building aid. I know if we're fortunate enough to receive the current building aid percentage,
Yeah.
where do those funds go? Just to remind the residents, so if they came back into building aid, where do those funds go to the district?
So those funds would directly offset the levy. So the capital reserve, the great thing about a reserve is you save money, you earn interest on the money. We've gotten some really good interest rates over the last few years. when you go to spend that money, including the money you saved and the interest, when building aid is applied, if we get the 35% back, that directly offsets the tax levy. So if the tax levy was $100 and we got $20 more back in building aid, then the levy to residents would be 80 for as long as building aid came back. So it's, 15 years is the general term for payback of building aid. So, when you approve it, you're getting a 35% discount.
In fact, we're getting like rewards back, just kidding. We're
Yeah.
getting
Yeah,
we're getting
yes.
some money back that
A little bit of
ultimately gets to pay itself forward for the district and for the residents. That's all.
Yes, yes. And
Just wanted to
this
bring
is
that up.
this is a great use of work. I think the same thing, if you look at our building aid and you look relative to neighboring districts, we have a high value of building aid coming back in relative to our budget. The bond projects, the prior year state aid projects, other capital projects are producing offsetting tax levy revenue at the same time fulfilling really important needs in the school district.
Thanks for
And this is a great list of projects. I think it's important to remember that right now our roofs are replaced. We have a great HVAC project out for bid, the electrical infrastructure from last year. So those key things to keep buildings safe and the envelope secure, those are all taken care of, and it's nice to move on to some of these things that are brightening and enhancing the classroom spaces.
Mr. Poole, do we typically show that line item in the calculations, state aid from previous projects?
Oh, if you were, when the 2015 bond came out, that would have been a big part of it. Like, hey, here's the capital that's coming back. Maybe at the next meeting, I'll speak with Mr. Arcuri. We can go back in and show what that might look like. It's going to be an estimate because not everything's going to be aidable, but what would be aidable and what would that look
Good
like
idea,
coming
because
back
that'd
to
be
the
a
school
revenue.
district?
That'd be
Yeah,
a revenue line ultimately, so
Yeah.
revenue's next.
yeah.
For these, but I'm also talking about we're still getting back aid on
Yes.
bond work that right?
Yeah,
So
yes.
is that somewhere in the breakdown of the line items?
I think when Mr. Arcuri goes over
It is
the,
shown? Where is it?
It shows up as, when you look
I
at,
remember seeing it.
yeah, if you look at the year, it only breaks out state aid in general. So it's showing you all the state aid broken out. So you have building aid and general aid. So
So if
if
you
you
go
wanted to see those
slide
individually,
29.
yeah. But if you
But-
wanted to know
It's
building
buried
aid,
in- yeah.
you could break that out,
Yeah.
and then see it.
yeah.
Because that's a good point to show
when
that.
Mr. Arcuri goes through the state aid package, when it's finalized, he can spend some time talking about the building aid. But that has been, I think building aid right now, if I recollect, is somewhere around $1.2 million. And that $1.2 million is offsetting the levy by about 2%. So the building aid coming back is keeping the levy 2% lower than it otherwise would be without the building aid coming back, if that makes sense off of those bond projects and that. And that should be offsetting the debt service for the bond with the building aid coming back from all those projects.
That's what I thought. That's great.
All right,
You're not gonna read
Mr.
this?
Arcuri, I'm gonna read it for you.
Wow. Oh, boy, get ready.
So proposition number 2, I know he hasn't read it yet, so I'm gonna get one done for
Yep,
him. He likes to
go
read
for
it a
it.
couple times.
There you go.
Capital Reserve Expenditure Proposition, shall the Board of Education of the Shoreham-Wading River Central School District be authorized to expend funds already deposited in the 2021 Capital Reserve Fund, which was established on May 18th, 2021, Reserve Fund pursuant to Education Law 3651 for the following capital improvement projects: replacement of classroom ceiling and lighting and casework replacement at the Miller Avenue School, exterior window and door replacement at the Wading River School, casework, ceiling, lighting, plumbing, and electrical renovations, flooring and equipment replacement, and HVAC modifications at the Prodell Middle School, site construction at the district athletic fields, replace synthetic turf, drainage improvements, structural respray of track event surfaces and striping, and install perimeter drainage between track and field, at the high school's Kootenella Field. District-wide technology purchase replacement and improvements and any ancillary or related work required in connection with such projects, and to expend from the reserve fund, therefore, including preliminary cost and cost incidental thereto in any amount not to exceed the estimated total cost of $6,879,501, provided that the Board of Education shall determine the allocation of cost of each project within said maximum amount, and that will be the proposition language that residents will see when they go to the poll to vote for that. And I won't spend too much time, I've talked a bit about them, but it's good to see the pictures. Classroom ceiling and lighting replacement at Miller Avenue. That is a original ceiling to the, to the building. I know our team did one of the classrooms over the summer, and there was, in the first grade wing, they kind of did the work. Took them a while, they kind of, to do it, and there was a lot of buzz about it. Well, when are we doing my room for my students in there? So it's good to get that work done. A few more photos. This will be up on the webpage. If anyone wants to take a closer look, you'll see some of the original photos there. Windows and doors at Wading River. Again, this is great. This will be the last piece of that in the school district. Good to know that this will be firm and in great condition for a long time. Yes, the windows are drafty. Many of the windows don't properly lock. They're tough to open and close, but importantly, the emergency windows have always been operational for that. But these are original windows. They're actually, Mr. Arcuri mentioned last meeting, they're actually home windows in the school building, so it's definitely time. And some of the door frames are starting to deteriorate on the bottom, so those will be replaced as well. So over at the middle school, mentioned the science and RISE classrooms earlier. You can see this is an original science classroom to the school district. It has the Brady Bunch green in the on the cabinetry, but replacing the ceilings, doing all that work to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 classrooms, island stations. It's the acoustical ceilings, it's HVAC modifications, it's flooring. And there are some old, when the middle school was like an open environment where 4 classrooms didn't have any walls. It was just enough space for 100 students. There was some operational walls. Some of that mechanic stuff is going to come out as we renovate these classrooms. And some more photos of what would be replaced. They're tough to walk through and look at because they just don't match everything else. So I'm excited to get this work done, hoping that the voters agree. As existing, and there's the renovated science classrooms, which I think are 10 or 15 years old by now, still look sharp, in great shape, thanks to our staff and students for taking care of them. But that'll be the conversion of the older spaces. And then the RISE classroom, we want to take the middle school RISE classroom and bring it up to the level of the high school RISE classroom. So you'll see the renovated high school on the right, and the existing RISE classroom at the middle school on the left. So hopefully those renovations will bring that space to be more engaging and improve the health and safety overall.
Yeah.
Then the high school Kootenella field turf replacement. So the synthetic turf has a lifespan of 10 to 12 years. It's important to note that the concussion rating is still at a very high level. I understand when the turf field was put in, that care was taken to make sure that the blades, the infill, the right concussion padding was in there, that it was done to make sure it was as safe as possible for a turf field. But they do have a lifespan of about 12 years, and that's largely, it may not be related to the concussion rating, but the carpeting, the blades of grass deteriorate in the UV light, and once they start to go, they go quick. So we'll have the funding aside. Once that's approved, we'll get into the planning process, and it'll be some time before we are ready to go out to bid and get the project going. But and then also between the turf field and the track, you may recall that at times we've had some flooding issues we've had heavier rains, over the last 5 or 6 years, that there is flooding in parts of the field. So the drainage around the turf to the track should alleviate, additional drainage should alleviate that. And then a respray of the track, any repairs and renovations. There I mentioned the trench drain to mitigate the standing water. This is not such not so exciting, but I'm actually very excited about this because, our technology team has done a great job looking to the future, budgeting, keeping things up to date, modern, getting out the right technology, staying out front for students, for cybersecurity, for safety, for data processing. This list of project will secure funding regardless of any fiscal challenges in the future. This work goes out to 28, 29, so this list will be timed and will support the infrastructure and technology so that the current funding in the budget, coupled with this, our technology program and needs will be met, at least for the next 5 to 8 years, which is wonderful. On to that's proposition number 2. Any questions on proposition number 2?
Just a quick question. I noticed, I know there was some takeaways, some questions at the last Space and Facilities meeting. For instance, cabinetry, millwork for some of the science classrooms. I know you showed a picture of the newer ones and the older ones, just to verify that, again, obviously, we want to make sure we're being economical in the renovations, and all those upper cabinets, are they all being utilized? And then there's also some other questions about, potential use of money in the future. I know I had emailed a few months back about the next meeting. Is there any update on when the Space and Facilities meeting committee will be
Yeah, I
meeting
think
again?
we're very close to scheduling. I think the last piece we wanted to include in that meeting was the EPC responses, and I think the architect and district administration are very close to getting those 3 ready for the committee to review those 3 proposals. So
Okay.
going over the.
Is there a tentative date that,
I don't have one, but I will definitely get back to you for that date. All right. And then proposition number 3 would be to establish a new capital reserve. So no cost to the taxpayer to establish a reserve. The community is just approving a savings account, so should we have good fortune and money become available, that we can place into the capital reserve for projects into the future or unexpected capital needs. Voter approval, again, is needed to create the reserve and then needed to approve the use of the reserve. No impact on the levy. It's a way to plan for future capital work. The funds can earn interest, and the proposal is much like the 2017 and 2021 reserve, would be a maximum amount of the reserve of $7.5 million, and the term would be 10 years. And source of funding would be occasionally budgetary appropriations if deemed appropriate, unappropriate fund balances, and transfers as approved and authorized by law and by the Board of Education. I'm gonna save this one for Mr. Arcuri. For him to read, but this is the language that's going to go on the proposition and it's really, it's a very extensive list, because you don't really know right now what the funds are going to be used for. So when you establish that proposition, you want to make sure you capture almost everything and anything that could possibly need capital work and funding in the future. And this isn't the only place to get budget information coming to a Board of Education budget meeting. If you go on our webpage under Departments and Programs, you can get the district's internal, external audit reports, transparency reports, and any other fiscal information. In fact, if anybody looking at those documents has any questions about them, what they mean, feel free to call my office or call Mr. Arcuri's office. I did looking at the local papers about a month and a half ago. I forgot that we in fact print the full external audit expenditure revenue notes from the external audit report. It actually gets a full page spread in the local papers. Probably people are turning pages and not seeing it, but it is advertised and published by the school district annually for all to see for that. But any questions, any additional information, anybody's listening in, please feel free to give us a call. Happy to meet with you or answer any of your questions. Wait. Did I get to the end?
That was the end.
And that is the, any questions on the rest of the expenditure lines in the budget, the capital propositions?
Very nicely done. I'm not sure if Glenn or Mr.
I don't know, I see him with a notepad. Yes, yes, nope, nope, shouldn't have said that. But thank you, and thank you to Mr. Arcuri, who, you know, I did the easy part, putting the PowerPoint together, the numbers and all of that, so thank you, Mr. Arcuri, and then we'll see him back at our next meeting, so thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next up will be our votes and resolutions. First, I've got our approval of our February 25th, 2025 regular public meeting minutes. May I get a motion? Megan, second Katie. Discussion or questions on these? I think we had 100% attendance that day, right? Okay. All in favor? 7-0. Next up is our approval of our March 11th regular public meeting minutes. May I get a motion?
Hold on a second.
That's what I
Sorry.
was wondering.
I wasn't here on the 25th.
That's right, okay, so if I vote, it'll be
apologize.
6, is that right? I think I was,
Six.
Ms. Kirschus, I think that was right. I was
6-0.
thinking that. It was 6, thanks, Mike.
Jim wasn't
No, I
here.
wasn't here either.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, all right,
5.
time out. So it's 5-0 and 2. Two
Abstain.
2 abstains, yeah. I assume you would abstain, Jim, right?
Yep.
Okay,
Making it official.
thank you. Appreciate that, okay. That's what I was asking. Good, all right. Next is our approval of our March 11th regular, 2025 regular public meeting minutes. May I get a motion? Jim Lockhart and Mike. Discussion or questions on this one? All in favor?
Jim was,
Jim, were you out for that one? No.
No, I was here.
No, Katie
Yeah, I
and
think-
I are abstaining.
I was here.
oh,
Yes, that was the meeting.
Oh, okay.
That's
I'm
March
confused.
11th.
Yes, that's what I was,
March
okay.
Right in the notes.
Is it in the notes? I gotta
Thank you.
read
Right at the
those.
top of
So-
the notes.
Thank you.
Let's do this again. All in favor, so it'll be 5.
Are you being funny?
What?
It's
It's 5, I'm right. Okay, yeah, thank you. 5 and 0-2 again. 2 abstain, yes, thank you. Katie and Megan. Okay, we're on a roll. Approval of our CPSE, CSE, and 504 meeting summary memo dated March 12th, 2025. May I get a motion? Katie, second. Megan, discussion or questions? All in favor? We got a 7-0 there. Okay. Our February 2025 treasurer's report. May I get a motion, please? Katie, second. Megan, any discussions or questions on the treasurer's report? All in favor? 7-0. Okay. Next up are our resolutions. Mr. Poole did a nice job of explaining our curriculum and instruction resolutions tonight. This section contains 29 resolutions. Is it okay if I take these as a block?
Yes.
Okay. We'll do a little explaining along the way. Everyone's okay? So they go from 2425-159 through 2425-187. May I get a motion, please? Jamel, Katie? Anyone have any discussion or questions on these? All good? Okay. All in favor? 7-0. As Mr. Poole had mentioned, this section contained some field trips. We're excited for our students. And many of our student services that are related to our really kind of special education, right, and otherwise. So that's what this section was. Just for knowledge, gonna keep moving. Just wanna make sure it's business and operations right here. Next up, our business and operations resolutions. This one has 5. Okay to take as a block?
Yep.
Okay, may I get a motion, please? Jim S., Jim L.? Any discussion or questions on these? Oh, and they go from 2425-188 to 2425-192. All in favor? 7-0. Next up, we have our personnel. May I get a motion, please? Henry? Katie? Any discussion or questions on personnel? All in favor? 7-0. Ms. Kirschus, any other communications?
No.
Okay. Any other additional, or any other board discussion? Anyone else want to bring up anything? The one thing I will bring up real quick, in front of you, ask Ms. Kirschus to put out the calendar again. the Board of Education meeting dates for our reorganization meeting. I wanted to make sure it was July 8th, Tuesday, July 8th, okay with everybody? There should be one in front of you. Yeah, I just want to make sure that's okay with everybody. Right? Ms. Kershaw, so it was that meeting, right? It was that primary meeting I needed to, so I just want to make sure that we're okay. All good? Okay.
For now.
For now, until vacations come up. Just kidding.
To be realistic.
All right, so for now, this looks good, Ms. Kershaw, so we're going to go with that. Thank you for that. Any other discussion from the board? Okay.
Tom, what are the requirements of when that needs to be held by?
Say that again. What were the requirements for,
10 days? Okay.
I'm sorry, what was it? What was
The
the question?
requirements that reorg meeting needs to be held 10 days.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
right,
within the-
10
within
days,
the
first
first
10
2
days of
weeks.
July,
Okay.
or 2
Yeah.
weeks. Okay, there you go. Perfect. Okay, good. Ms. Kershaw, any additional comments from residents?
Yes, we do. Do you want to step up to the podium, please?
Sure, please.
State your
July
name
4th,
and your address
you know?
for the record. Thank you.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Chris Costanzo, 7 Short Way. Hello, my name is Chris Costanzo. My wife and I have a son named Jake, and he has been a student in the RISE program since kindergarten. Jake is currently enrolled in the RISE program at Wading River Elementary School, and we will move on to the middle school next year. I'm here today to express my sincere gratitude and deep appreciation for the incredible work, dedication, passion, and support from the staff of the Wading River Elementary School. The staff are truly remarkable, and they've made a profound difference in my son Jake's life. I must say, when Jake started at Wading River Elementary, he was struggling in several areas, and my wife and I were very nervous about the transition. We had our initial meeting with his teacher, Ms. Cornitas, and speech therapist, Ms. Griffin. They helped to ease our fears and assured us he was going to do great, and they were right. Jake definitely put forth the utmost effort and worked very hard. We do, however, believe that he gained the confidence to do so because of the amazing individuals surrounding him and helping him to not only build his self-esteem, but to take the time to understand him and his needs. Jake has limited language, therefore it can be difficult to ease his frustrations because you first have to understand what causes him to be frustrated. The staff at Wading River are extremely patient, and their ability to connect with students on a personal level and understand their unique challenges while also celebrating their successes is truly inspiring. The principal at Wading River, Mr. Paranella, connected with Jake from the beginning and always made sure it was an inclusive environment for him. He is the embodiment of what all elementary principals should be: kind, understanding, uplifting, and always positive. Jake immediately sensed this in him, and they have formed a bond. During Jake's first few years at Wading River, we saw such monumental changes in him. His frustration subsided, and he was going to school very happy. He was also improving in so many areas of his life, from academic skills to life skills. Jake's had an incredibly one-on-one aide, Mrs. Reese. She took time to understand him as a whole individual and also formed a bond that will never be broken. This year, Jake had a new teacher, Mrs. Papa, and 2 new one-on-ones, Miss Kern and Mrs. Spence. Once again, we were nervous because Jake has made such progress and we wanted to continue with the momentum, and most importantly, wanted him to be happy. And we could proudly say that Jake has never been happier. He prospered even more with his communication, daily living skills, social skills, and academics. Mrs. Papa is a wonderful teacher. She truly cares about each and every one of her students. Jake is developing the essential skills to reach his full potential as a student, and as parents, we couldn't be more proud and thankful to his staff. Jake did things that we weren't sure they would ever be possible. He had a role in the 5th grade play, Alice in Wonderland, and we would like to thank Mr. Varity for telling us, not asking us, that Jake will be in the play. He did amazing, and it's because of teachers like him who have a passion for what they do and care about the students. Mr. Paranello was super supportive that night, even saving us seats. And his TA, Mrs. Spence, spent both nights at the play so she can go upstage with him and Jake to support him, and he did amazing. Furthermore, the incredible PE staff, along with the classroom staff, took Jake's ice skating this week on a field trip recently, and he did incredible. In closing, I would also like to say we will be forever grateful to the staff at Wading River, along with you, Mr. Poole, and Mrs. Von Eschen. If there was a bump in the road and we needed to talk things out, they were both always there for us and helped in any way they could. They even put together a forum for parents and special education teachers to discuss various topics and learn more about the programs available. We feel extremely blessed to be in this school district, and we are very grateful for your unwavering commitment to our students. Thank you for all that you do. Your amazing work makes a real difference in the lives of students and our school community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing those comments. Sure was. Great. Any other comments from residents?
Yes, we have Mr. Williams.
Good evening, and thanks again for all your time. But I would like to thank this last gentleman for sharing that story. I'm sure the board members love to hear stories like that. I know us old teachers do. And I just want to thank you so much, sir. That was a great, great speech. And now that we are one season and one summer away from the fall athletic season, and I would like to know where the board sits now on hoping that Mr. Bromoff does not have to perform a Houdini act again this fall, trying to put 8 teams on one turf field. I know the petition has gone to almost 700 people now. It's a big, big item in our district. I've spoken to a few of the youth program directors this past week, and obviously they are so on board because their children will be reaping benefits for years to come. So I'd like to know what the board's thoughts are, how we're moving forward, but before that, I'd like to know if I could make a motion, or maybe not a motion, a suggestion, just so a board meeting never has to go to 11 o'clock again. Maybe we can have the next meeting, since it's usually my wife and I and you all. Maybe we can have the next meeting at La Plage, because they'll throw us out a lot before 11. But anyway, I'd just like to know where we're at. There are a lot of people in the community that are concerned and really want to get moving on this. You know, as we speak, Mount Sinai broke ground today on their next 2 turf fields, moving to 4. And I talked to the AD today, and he can't say enough great things, how those fields are multi-purpose. There are gym classes that are out there. You know, it rains, 2 hours later you're out. You're not playing in mud. I'd just like to know where we're at and what the plan is. And Tom, I think you're in charge. That's what I heard.
I think I get to respond to some of this. Mr. Williams, obviously, thanks again for being here. You've been a participant in our Space and Facilities Committee, so you've been active in conversations. You've come to the mic before and asked us about this. You've seen the budget presentations. As of now, the recommendation from Space and Facilities, our budget plans don't include turf. So there's nothing in this year's budget for an additional turf field.
That I know.
Okay. Best case scenario, where we're going, I guess, is really next steps are to look at the BCS, our building condition survey reports again, to see where capital needs are for the district. And then based on the Space and Facilities Committee that meets next year, I think Jerry just mentioned there's an energy performance contract, which is next up. All right, Mr. Poole, I guess that would be next. But there's a lot of needs for capital. Right now, there's needs and wants. Right now, an additional turf field, may be controversial, is a want. It's not a need. So right now, there are other things that are in front of that. And more than likely, the Space and Facilities Committee would have to weigh in on where those wants and needs go. So that's really where we are. There's nothing in the works at this moment for a turf field.
Right.
An additional
What
turf
about
field.
in the works for a proposition to throw out to the community to see if it is feasible to float a bond, the $5 million bond that we talked about,
Yeah, I
and
think-
put other things with it?
Sorry, Tom, just to interject. So the last Space and Facilities meeting, there was this discussion that we would come back at the next meeting, whenever that is, talk about
Yep.
all these projects on the BCS that they really
Yep.
can't get done under the $7.5 million that we continually fund for a capital reserve. That's the meeting I've been asking for. I understand there's an EPC, but that's not, the EPC has nothing to do with the BCS.
Mhm.
So I don't know why we're waiting for the EPC to be reviewed first before we go a further review of the BCS, but.
Well, I think it comes back to priorities, Mike. Where were the priorities in the,
No, but we had a Space and Facilities Committee meeting.
yep.
When we ended the meeting, there was consensus to come back and review the BCS.
Mhm.
That was the consensus of the committee.
So if we, hear you, so if we wanted to do that, if I had to take a board consensus right now, we'd have to take a board consensus to spend the money. Why are you making a face?
Wait,
I'm saying
spend more
that
money
we'd have
now.
to take a BCS building condition survey, we'd have to ask for a bond
We have a
review.
BCS survey already.
Not what I'm asking.
Okay.
saying
Did
that-
not all the 3 neighboring districts, Rocky Point, Miller Place, and Mount Sinai, secure bonds for their turf fields?
They did, and
So why can't Shoreham?
you know this firsthand. We already have a bond on our books. This year,
No place has 3 bonds on their books.
I'm sharing with what we have.
Right.
We have one bond on the books right now. If we all think about it as taxpayers, we all heard from community members this year, there was an equalization rate in our Riverhead Township, which our taxpayers felt. So you have to be, and then we also have heard from community members who were asking us for universal pre-K. So there's needs and wants of the district. Neither of those have risen to the occasion in which it's a versus a want versus a need. So turf fields are not on the agenda right now, additional turf fields.
I'm just confused. We had a discussion in the Space and Facilities
Yeah.
meeting with community members. There was consensus at the end of the meeting to have a follow-up meeting to review the VCS that was already provided by BBS a year or 2 ago.
Mhm.
So I'm just trying to understand when that follow-up meeting is going to occur, so we could then discuss potentially packaging projects together, not just turf fields. There's a lot of needs in the district that we just
We
can't
could
accomplish.
put other things together with that.
All right, and that was there were a lot of things that we need or want that we can't always do under a $7.5 million reserve.
Mhm.
That was my understanding that we were gonna have the next meeting to discuss those options.
In my understanding, there were two different things though, Mike. I think there was if
Well, I'd
we're-
love to see the meeting minutes, but those don't get published either. I don't know where those are.
I'm sure we can make those available. I can ask Mr. Poole and
Sure.
Mr. Akiri. I'm sure we had, forget, there was someone taking meeting minutes. I'm not worried
What do
about
we tell the 700, almost 700 people that signed a petition in favor of this proposal? Are you telling them no? You telling them, is there a way that they can express their concern by either coming to another type of forum or sending emails to you to express their concern? Because
Yep.
the 2 directors of the youth programs wanted to know, what could they do? How
Hey,
can they
listen.
make their voice heard to you?
I think we're all aware of the petition. I think we're aware of what they're asking for at this point. Again, I don't believe at this moment, I don't think the board, we have a few standard processes. I don't think at this moment we would have board support to move forward with another bond, if I had to ask. Because more than likely, since that's an additional capital expenditure at this moment, that is not, again, back to a need and a want, that would be a whole different bond for us. I don't believe if I asked the board for consensus right now, would we support another bond initiative? I don't think I'd get support for another bond.
I don't know I really don't know what we're bearing that information on, because I keep going back to this because, we have committees
Yep.
to provide us with guidance. There was a committee, there was guidance, and then it stalled.
Yep.
So to say that you don't have board support, I'm waiting back for further guidance from the Space and Facilities Committee, which ended with a follow-up meeting that hasn't even been discussed. Give me a date, April, May, June.
I mean, it
like,
doesn't
when
have
are
to
we
be
meeting?
discussed in an open forum. I mean, discuss it amongst yourselves. Do we have the support from you? Each one of you. I mean, where is it gonna go? And are we just gonna keep saying, oh, maybe next year?
And again,
I
I
mean,
guess
these
I
poor
come back
kids,
to, Mr. Williams, thank you. Listen, we're aware of the petition. The Space and Facilities Committee has not identified that an additional turf field is a need that the district has. So that's what I'm saying, that's a need versus a want. The building condition survey, from my understanding, shows us where the capital needs for the district should be planned. So the capital reserves, things that we put together, that's where those go toward those
Yeah,
uses.
I was at that Space and Facility Committee, and
Yep.
that turf field wasn't even discussed.
Because again, it's a want
It's on the
versus a need.
BCS, though, just to be
An additional
transparent.
turf field?
Yes, it is.
It's on there.
It's a 5-year plan, which is the reason you have bonds, so you plan out for the future.
Right.
So the second turf is on there, as well as the turf for the baseball, softball, middle school parking lot. There are many things on there, again, that we can't accomplish with a $7.5 million capital reserve every 3 years,
Mhm.
which is, again,
Which-
why
which
we
in-
discuss coming back to space and facilities, and repeating myself over and over, to discuss the VCS.
And in a discussion with Mr. Poole, I did mention, you said it's not a need. I'd like you to go down to that turf field on a nice Saturday or Sunday and see if you can find a corner to play with your kids, to set up a net, to set up some cones, do something. It's like going to Jones Beach on a beautiful Saturday in July to try to find a blanket space. I mean, the whole field is taken up. If we had another field to set up some nets, you're really giving the community some life. And that, it's a beautiful to watch, but it's been a zoo.
Well, I
So
appreciate
there is
that,
a
and
need.
Mr. Poole's also laid out for our sports teams and with our athletic director. We have other fields that we could use with Brookhaven's town's permission, if necessary, if we have overflow. So they're available as well, Mr. Williams. As of right now, that's where we are. So I appreciate
Okay.
you coming and sharing your thoughts again, as always, and your commitment to, obviously, the athletics in our programs.
Okay, I'd still like a discussion to go on, though. I mean, we have to do
Absolutely.
something for those kids, and the field hockey team cannot be asked to practice 7 to 9 o'clock all through the fall again.
And I appreciate that, and again, that coach has the opportunity to use other fields as well. And working with our AD, from what I understand.
What
teams
other
should not
fields
be-
are we talking about?
We're talking about Diamond in the Pines, which the district has an arrangement
Well,
with.
we discussed that. I don't think there'd be too many athletes that would want to sit on a bus for over an hour every day.
Why? In all due respect, they do to go to other fields today. So why wouldn't they
Every
be
day to
interested in
practice?
doing that?
Not for practice.
Every day to practice?
Oh, got it.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
okay.
embarrassing.
Understand. I don't know if it's embarrassing.
It is, a little bit. I mean, we're
Not
gonna ask our kids,
We have-
instead
we
of
have
driving
fields
five,
here, and with all
excuse
due
me,
res-
instead of driving 5 minutes to your high school,
Right.
you wanna get on a bus, or you wanna drive yourself a half hour away each way to practice.
You know,
That's acceptable?
And no, what you're saying is then our grass fields are unacceptable, is what you're saying? All the fields out there are unacceptable. The only one you're saying.
Well,
that
all
you
those-
control is the
all
Field
turf.
hockey has a, field hockey
Is
will
it-
only
that's what
practice
you're
on
saying.
turf. That's field hockey.
and then
That's not-
if you talk to the soccer coach, football coach, and lacrosse coaches,
Yep.
obviously field hockey cannot play on grass. They all want turf, because the fields that they go to play their games on, the majority of them are turf. So they want to practice on something that they're going to play on.
Understood.
And, you know, I just think, you know, Miller Place and Mount Sinai and Rocky Point, there's a reason they did that.
And there's a reason they're able to fund it. They get a much different state funding calculation as well. There's other
Now,
reasons why that
there are other
occurs.
reasons in that.
I don't know about that. We could probably compare budget to budget and look it over, if you'd like.
Well,
I'm just
Still-
saying, there's opportunity to look
so
at that.
then, this is what you're
We
going
don't
to
receive the
tell
same
our
funding.
kids, sorry, get on a bus and go for an hour and a half, and as you go past Rocky Point and Miller Place and Mount Sinai to go to your field, they've been practicing for an hour. That's not the right way to do it. Thanks.
Thank you for your comments. Okay. All right. Any other comments from residents? Okay. May I get a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting? Jim, second Katie. All in favor? 7-0. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.